At this point, all we can really do is say, what can't the Eminence and Shadow do, especially when the greatest isekai seemingly just became the greatest soap opera ever of all time, because holy hell, the drama that was in this episode is without a doubt a soap opera. And I love how Sid even calls it out as such, because the backstabbing, the who loves who, who's manipulating who, just the family squabble and drama, just all ends in such a way that is going to leave Sid once again bamboozled and just upset, because the misunderstanding, thinking that Rose wants to be this tyrant and he's gonna support it and then he'll make him be the Eminence and Shadow. The episode more or less ends ignoring the beheading of Perv Asshat and the mom, because Mordred decided enough was enough, which I can't say I'm upset by, I say absolutely down with their heads. But I love the fact that by the end of this, because of the message that just played from the father, if everything does go according to plan afterwards, she will be a respected ruler, the farthest thing from some tyrant ruler. She will be very respected, clearly, which completely goes against what Sid wants to happen. So somehow, this soap opera of an episode, once again, is going to end the story in such a pleasant way for everyone other than Sid, because Sid is basically just trying to be the Eminence and Shadow, and every step of the way, the story around him is deviating ever so slightly from his grand vision, and the reaction is gonna be fantastic. Now, I do have a full live reaction to today's wonderful Eminence and Shadow episode over on my Patreon, so if you would like to see my full uncut thoughts, it's over there if you're interested. It is sad because we only have one more episode to go, but honestly, I'm just happy we got Season 2, and not only in a very quick turnaround, but the fact of how consistent it's been. So, Season 1 was 20 episodes back to back, there was no breaks, and the fact that Season 2 came out not too long afterwards, one of the big reasons it does feel consistent is that they kept more or less the same staff. One of the reasons for the quicker turnaround and immediately starting to work on Season 2, I remember reading, was because they wanted to keep the same staff available. So that does help with a level of consistency, because just having more animators or different, people, it's not going to help. It's too many cooks in the kitchen is a thing, and less times you have to switch hands around, the more consistent a product will be. But I think what's really impressive is just, I would honestly argue Season 2 looks better than Season 1 at this point. I think there's definitely very big explosive moments, but I think the thing that makes it feel more consistent is there's so much expression from the character models. You just watch this episode, and seriously, if you don't know what I'm talking about, you need to rewatch it. Rewatch it anyway, because it was a great episode. But the amount of times you actually feel like the characters that we're watching have face muscles. And what I mean is, it's not just characters smiling or their eyebrows raised down in anger. Legitimately, it's sometimes hard, especially if you're watching with subtitles. Perv Asshat, whether it's Rose, these characters' faces, every little angle of their face is moving in a different way, and it actually feels expressive more so than a lot of shows I've watched this year. It's really impressive stuff, and I'm honestly impressed by how much they're able to accomplish with a medium that typically just does basic expressions for a lot of things. Yeah, there's certain shots that are a little more intense, but it's not like you're oh, that's a real person. Sometimes I'm god damn, how is Perv making that face? That feels like a real person right now, and I really appreciate that. So this episode is basically the soap opera of the show, and that's not a bad thing in the slightest. So basically, Rose, she feels guilty about her father's death. She gets a very rude awakening about her mom being a whore with Perv Asshat, not wanting to accept reality, and I can't say I blame her, but it's the fact of the matter that everything about this is just going absolutely shitty, and the fact that when Perv realizes that the ring's gone, honestly, I almost became a supporter of Perv Asshat just for this reaction. So, Sid removed the ring, right? And he had no way to really know, because, he doesn't really feel like Perv's this romantic who's going to be taking a look at the ring every so often. No, he's just going to assume the ring's in the box, because how the hell would someone pickpocket him? If it wasn't for the slime abilities, there's no way that would have occurred. He flips the box open, doesn't get upset, and then he just keeps doing it. He does it 3 or 4 times, and each time he gets progressively more upset. And honestly, I was that's a Sid reaction right there. That felt like something Sid might end up doing, just being wait a second, no, I just gotta do it again. The weird laws of the universe are just testing me, and man, imagine getting a fucking Skype phone call from your boy who's trying to hook you up at the round table. Your trousers are down to your ankles, you have to quickly pull this up as you hide the ring box because you don't want him to say, hey bro, can I see the ring? I'm sure it's still looking mad sparkly. No, you just gotta nod and say, yes daddy, of course. And I'm oh my god, Perv, you dumb mofo, this is absolutely insane. But it was such a good episode. We literally have Sid Spider-Man his way across the... At first I thought they were just doing some weird directing. No, he's just walking across, and then he pops in and does a little peekaboo on them getting down and dirty, and I'm like, this man, the piano. The piano came back. My favorite thing about Sid with the piano was how he would go to such lengths for mood lighting and mood atmosphere that he would carry a grand piano down how many flights of stairs just so he can make a dramatic entrance. That damn piano was on the rooftop this time because, all things considered, it's a balcony, but I mean, he had to carry that shit upwards for that dramaticness, and that was so good. I just can't get enough of Sid. I love the fact that everything about Sid as a character, like, you just don't take seriously when all this shit just always hits the fan, but the story that surrounds him is legitimately interesting. Like, the end of this episode, everything happening with the king's message, the people in the background, even those that were planning to betray her, realizing that they now have to side with her because let's throw Perv under the bus here. That is such a compelling story and enough for an isekai series, a fantasy series, any series really, to be compelling and thought-provoking. But then when you think of the whole idea that for Sid, this is all about turning her into a tyrant queen for his Eminence and Shadow Chuny nonsense, that is going to be anything other than that, and that is hilarious while simultaneously being thought-provoking and arguably one of the best produced episodes of this season of Eminence and Shadow, and personally my favorite episode of Eminence and Shadow Season 2 by far. I legitimately think this show is one of isekai's best. I just have nothing but praise for it. It legitimately is one of the most consistent shows I've seen for having 31 episodes at this point in such a short amount of time. They have a simple enough art design that allows it to remain consistent, but also have this level of expression. I think just the unholy down bad moments where people can just be floating tatas in the water and just Sid can just be, I don't know, he kind of looked like Snoopy. You know how when Snoopy lifts his like neck up just to kind of like relax or is being funny? Like, I don't even know what he does half the time. Like, this man, I feel like, is legitimately gonna die a virgin, even surrounded by the harem that he does have. But him like aggressively trying to get out of, I think her name was Margaret, the maid's like a grip as then another is fighting. He bare-assed himself. Like, he had underwear on, sure, but he stripped down to nothing but his underwear to make a puppet so that they would fight over a fake Sid as he then went downstairs to play piano. What can't this man do other than apparently get laid despite all these women wanting to lay with him? It's just, this show's a damn masterpiece. Let me know what you thought though down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here. Of course, ring that bell so you can get notified when I upload more to the channel. And like I mentioned, we got that full live reaction over on my Patreon. And hey, while you're over there, you also get a video shout out. Alright, so today we got Calvin Atkinson, Ashalith, Adam Dundorf, David Story, Athmil, GG78CC, Cathical, Leo, and Juan Voldez. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care. Have a good one.